I got this box actually 3 months ago from eBay, and now we're going to unbox it. So let's go in fast motion. He's playing a game with me in 17-degree weather. Come on, come inside. Come on, come on. All right, bye. I have to do this. And then he comes back. Watch. Come on, Kenji. It's 17 degrees out. So cold that my makeshift ashtray exploded and turned to ice. Back. Hold on. Watch this little sucker play a game with me. Come on, Grover. Come inside. Grover, come on. All right, bye. Watch this. Bye. Yeah, I know I got to clean my patio door. Are you going to do it? Why don't we send your mother to come do it? Oh, my God. No, don't do that. And now it's going to turn into an icicle. Grover, it's 17 degrees out. You're getting your hair cut tomorrow. You look like a woolly lamb right now. Come on, let's go. All right, bye. Watch this. Bye. Oh, I have to trick him. Hold on. You want a cookie? Cookie? Oh, cookie. You want a cookie? Oh, okay, come on. Oh. You hear him crunching on his cookie? All right. You see what I got to go through? Oh, my God. All right, let's get this open. I don't want to flip it over because you crack maniacs are going to find out where I live, and I don't need any crack maniac adventures. I already had one. You can go into my video and search crack whore or something like that, meth addict, and go and search and hit enter, type in meth addict or whatever, and you'll find my meth addict adventure where I had to chase one off my property already. And here we go. All right. Oh, I think we got it. Do we got it? Oh, it's coming off. We just missed this side. And I don't want to stab myself. So let's just do this with the greatest of ease. Okay. So, what is this? All right. This is actually something that I really didn't care for. I didn't really want. But it reminds me of my mother. And that's why I had to buy it. It was so cheap. The person didn't know what it was, didn't know who the artist of this particular piece was. And so I purchased it in memory of my mother. All right, so I keep getting interrupted. People keep actually ringing my doorbell. Nobody ever rings my doorbell until the minute I'm about to do a video. All right, so I saw this and I thought of my mother. And it was so cheap to buy it now. I was like, you know what? I'll get it. So a lot of people just think this is a piece of ceramic that was actually probably done in a, remember in the 70s when it was popular to go to a ceramics place and you get like a white piece of pottery and you paint it and they would fire it for you in the kiln or what have you. People think it's that. But I knew right away by the mark, the Z with the squiggly line through it, that this was special. And it has like a model number on it. And what does the Z stand for? It stands for and I'm going to probably pronounce it wrong, zaccagnini. And zaccagnini, Ugo, I believe it's pronounced, I'm Italian, I should know this. Ugo or Ugo, zaccagnini, I think it's Ugo. I could be like the car, remember Ugo? No. I think I'm pronouncing it right. If I'm pronouncing it incorrectly, don't be a prick in the comments below. There's loads of people like you out there, and I have no patience for that shiz. And so what we have here is a Della Robbia style plaque that would hang on the wall. Now, Ugo Zaccagnini actually was a really famous ceramicist. I believe he created his ceramic studio in 1905. He was really unbelievable. And he's known for a particular thing that is, like, if you collect it, it is so damn expensive. And I'll show you some of the examples. There's a lot of information on this particular company. And these are some of the marks that you'll find on Zaccagnini pieces. And he's been around for quite some time now. He died in 1937 at the age of 69. And he really created Italian art ceramics. He was known for it. He was a genius at it. And he used to work for, I'm going to pronounce this incorrectly also, something else my mom collected, something by the name of Ginori or Ginori. Ginori porcelain and pottery is amazing. And this particular artist, Ginori, my mom used to collect his pieces, and every single time a piece of Ginori went on eBay, she would get into bid wars. And I taught my mother actually I taught her how to freaking snipe. And when I say snipe, leave a 4-second bid to the auction's ending. Because all the people from Italy would go into bid wars with my mother, and my mother hated to be outbid. And so there was a guy by the name of Raffaello from Italy who was our arch nemesis. And anything Ginori or zaccagnini or any like Cacciaputi is another artist that made beautiful ceramics. He was on it. Or Lenci, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. He was on it. And my mother, oh my God, she'd be like, ugh, Raffaello's going to take it from me. And I'm like, no, he's not. And I taught her how to snipe, and she used to beat the hell out of him. But once in a while, he'd come back and beat the hell out of us because he sniped too. And so he was my mom's arch nemesis. Let's see how he's doing these days. Dude is still alive. And he would love to know that my mom found him. By the way, here's his gallery. Yes, he has an art gallery. And my mother could not stand him, but yet we loved him. I can't explain. You end up for years outbidding somebody and fighting and duking it out for certain things that you want to add to your collection, and you end up sort of loving your enemy, so much so that we used to actually sell to him pieces that we didn't want anymore, that we won and beat him on eBay. We would sell to him. Look at some of his ceramics. Now, if you want to order from him, he'll even ship to the USA, and I'm not giving him a plug. He doesn't even know I exist on YouTube. And here's some of his pieces of his Italian art ceramics in his collection. And these are not cheap, boys and girls. These pieces that you're seeing here are at least $2,000 to $3,000 a piece. And he loved to actually bid against my mother, and me and my mom loved bidding against him. In his online shop right now, and he does have zaccagnini pieces, and there's no prices. Why do you think there's no prices, boys and girls? Because it's too damn expensive and you can't afford it. And so there we go. This is an early piece because we see the early label from the 30s and the 40s. Let's look at his other. Now, you're probably bored to tears right now. You'd rather watch paint peel. But I can assure you that this is something that brings me closer to my deceased mom, who's right above my computer right now. She's the goddess of me beating out people on eBay. So, yeah, this is actually probably worth about $5,000. I kid you not. It's a zaccagnini piece. It's a Disney piece. And that's what actually set him, that totally set his company on fire. And that was his son that did that. His son, Urbano, actually started with the Disney figures. There are some other zaccagnini pieces that are on his site for sale that probably you or I can't even afford. Most definitely. Oh, here we got a religious piece of zaccagnini. Does it even have a price? No, there's no price, but this is a 1940s, 1950s plaque, wool plaque. And there we go. We got the magical Z. If you ever see the magical Z mark on the back of these ceramics, buy them. If you see them for cheap, buy them, because I'm going to guarantee you in the next 5 to 10 years, the values of these are going to go way up. Here's another Disney piece. I believe it's a Disney piece. Yes, it's from Pluto's Dream. And a particular sculptor by the name of Mario Bandini worked for his company and made a lot of these beautiful Disney pieces, some of them marked with a Walt Disney Creazioni label on it. This would probably just wear off and fall off the piece, but this is probably again worth about $3,000 to $5,000 for this cat. Not a shortage of zaccagnini pieces on his website, and that's why this guy was our arch nemesis, because my mother wanted the zaccagnini pieces. So now you know why he was our arch nemesis. The reason why Raffaello and my mother were arch enemies, even though we loved him, because he used to buy from us and give us business when we used to sell on Ruby Lane. And basically, a lot of these pieces were sent to the USA. They were exported to the U.S. And Canada and Great Britain in large numbers, so the Italians want to get them back. They want these Ugo Zaccagnini pieces back, or these Urbano Zaccagnini pieces back, and they want them back in their country. He began his career in Florence, a studio in Florence, and it said that he began his career at the Ginori factory in the 19th century and left Ginori in 1891 to open his own studio in Florence, Italy. In 1896, he closed his studio and entered into a partnership with 6 of the most talented artisans and craftsmen in Florence at the time. The new company was named La Società Industriale per Fabbricazione della Majolica Artistica. Yeah, not doing that. Sorry. The Society for Industrial Fabrication of Majolica Art. It was known by the acronym SIFMA. So if you see SIFMA on anything, grab it. I'm not kidding you. Those are the earlier pieces. 5 children joined him, and the company was then named Manifattura Ugo Zaccagnini I Figli, manufacturer Ugo Zaccagnini or Hugo Zaccagnini and Sons. It should be noted, however, that 2 of his 5 children were daughters. And so I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but he'd been a master sculptor and model maker during his years at Ginori and SIFMA. But at SIFMA, the production was confined to recreating traditional Renaissance style of the 15th and 16th century Majolica, for which Italy was famous for, like my piece. That is a piece of it's actually sort of like a replica of Della Robbia, which would have been in that particular time frame that was very popular, of recreating that sort of Renaissance style. Urbano, right when he died in 1937 at the age of 69, Urbano immediately set about to alter the company's direction. He began to concentrate the factory's production almost exclusively to decorative ceramics, mostly in the form of figurines and other decorative items. The company developed a line of very popular animal figurine and graceful women in the Art Deco style. Urbano made exporting Zaccagnini ceramics his major goal, and North America was his primary target. Zaccagnini figurines began even appearing in stores such as Tiffany's. In 1938, Urbano obtained a license from Walt Disney Productions to create in clay the famous animated characters born at Disney Studios. These figurines, it says more about these figurines in a moment. In 1958, after 20 years of successful leadership, he left the company to open his own ceramics studio called Urbano Zaccagnini Ceramiche Artiche. And he died in 1964. And his studio, which is still active, was taken over by his 2 children and grandchildren. Pieces that contain the written script out, the last name written out and signed in a script, were first used in 1938 for the Disney series and later to signify limited edition pieces. Sometimes the signature mark was used in conjunction with the famous Z with the squiggle. After Urbano left the company, the signature logo replaced the Z completely. So mine is like probably a 40s, 50s piece, I'm going to guess, like before 1954. In the 80s, the firm turned to exclusive production of expensive lamp bases for high-end manufacturers. But the company closed in the year 2000, but many of the family members have opened their own studios in and around Florence. And here's one with the FUMZ mark, asking price $1,800 for Diana the Huntress sculpture, which is in the Art Deco style. When my mother and I were collecting, it was like $10,000 to $15,000 for some of the Disney figures, but I'm seeing a whole entire set of Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs for only $3,339.58, when each one of these figures would have commanded at least $1,500 a piece. Pieces, wow, they really depressed. Down to $700 for one piece here. Unbelievable. When my mother and I were collecting something like this Donald Duck figure, Donald's golfing, would have went easily for $7,000 to $10,000. And sadly, it sold for 600, it looks like euros or pound sterlings, when it was estimated at 2,000 to 2,400 euros. Pluto went down in price. 400 euros? Well, which is probably about 475 US. What the heck? Well, at least Stromboli went for $4,000. Stromboli. Oh, no, I don't want to be informed. I'm already informed. Go, a Stromboli sold for like 15,000 at auction. And I don't know what's going on with the prices, but this is crazy. Figures went for 8,000. What year? 2018. Actually, that when one figure would have went, yeah, Stromboli alone, right here, Stromboli, would have went for actually 8 to 15,000. It looks like, yeah, they sold for 8,000 for 4 of them. Just like this. This is in the Della Robbia style. Don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. If I'm not, please don't be a prick and correct me in the comments below. But this is very precious to me because it reminds me of my mother. And even though it is the Blessed Virgin Mary with the baby Jesus, it's just like sort of bittersweet because I miss my mother. And I miss her excitement over these ceramics. She would get so excited over them that she would call me up and she'd be like, in another hour, the auction's about to be over, and I'm going to beat Raffaello. And yeah, and she did mostly, but sometimes that scoundrel came in at the last second and outbid my mother because he had like a bottomless pit for a pocket. This guy must have financed over $1 million worth of ceramics with his credit card. So at one point, we even came to a consensus, like sort of a truce. And yes, I contacted him and he contacted me. We would discuss things, business. And he would say, okay, we know that a zaccagnini piece is being up, for grabs on eBay. He knew that we found every single piece because we knew how to search for these. Even though a lot of people see the squiggly line and not know what the heck this is, my mother and I would know like where they were on eBay. What we know as sleepers. A sleeper is something a seller don't know what the hell they have. And he would contact us and say, all right, I'll let you win this time. I won't bid on the auction, but the next one that comes up, you're going to have to let me win. And we would go back and forth and do favors for each other, actually. And so my mother would always hope that the next turn that we would have, it would be a great amount, like unbelievable, like really lucky figure that was worth a lot more than his turn was. And so we had this sort of love-hate relationship with Raffaello. And so let's look at some Della Robbia pieces and find out more about Della Robbia and why it's actually, well, this piece, the zaccagnini piece is probably worth, I mean, if I was to sell it on eBay, probably $75 to $150. But if I had my own shop still on Ruby Lane or Etsy, which I don't anymore, I would do a firm price of $225 to $275 for this piece. And somebody would eventually come along, even if I had to wait a year or 6 months or 2 years, and they would pay the price. Oh my God, there he is. That's Raffaello. And he's still, oh my God, he looks still young. And yeah, because this was over 10, 15, even 17 years ago that we used to duke it out. He has his own YouTube channel and he only had 115 views. And he shows you his gorgeous gallery of ceramics. Right, so here's me and my mother's arch enemy, who we actually really did like. We didn't hate him. You know, it was a lot of fun to be competitive. And here's 17 seconds of him talking about something I have no idea, because he's speaking in Italian, even though we're Italian Americans, my mother and I. We have no clue. Well, she's not here anymore, unfortunately, but I have no clue what he's saying. So let's listen.
Qui siamo nel settore delle maioliche artistiche dell'Ottocento, abbiamo presente la manifattura Ginori fino ad arrivare alla manifattura Minghetti, che sono due fra le maggiori manifatture di qualità dell'Ottocento. La mia galleria è altamente specializzata in ceramiche artistiche italiane dalla metà del XIX secolo alla metà del XX secolo. Trattiamo maioliche, porcellane, ceramiche, come dicevo, artistiche, quindi completamente realizzate a mano, delle migliori manifatture, firme di questo periodo. Qui a Milano è impossibile non parlare di Gio Ponti, il grande architetto milanese che a partire dagli anni *20* ha rivoluzionato il modo di vedere l'arte e il tempo, e ha iniziato con la manifattura di Ginori alla sua direzione artistica a presentare questo rinnovamento. Qui in mostra abbiamo diversi pezzi, fra i quali il grande piatto raffigurante Balbina, tratto dalla serie Le mie donne, che appunto fu presentata nel 25 in contemporanea all'Esposizione Universale di Parigi e alla Triennale di Monza.
Okay, so now we know it's pronounced Janori. That's all I heard. When he was talking about majolica or mayolica and Janori. And he's still alive. And yeah, he was actually a really young guy when we used to bid against him. And yep, all right. So Raffaello Pernici is still alive. And I would like to actually say hi to him because we had a lot of fun going back and forth with him. And he would love to haggle with us. When we'd win a piece that he really wanted, he would know it was us. Back in the day, did you know that eBay used to let you see who beat you? So if someone beat you on eBay and outbid you, you would actually see the high bidders or the winning bidder's name. And so you'd know who to hate. And so we knew, and he knew. And so we used to contact each other, and boom, they would allow us to actually contact the high bidder back then, and you would get a nasty gram as well. I remember there was times when I bid on things and I beat somebody, and they would send me something called a nasty gram because they would click on my name and hit contact and say, "Go to hell, you B word," and because I beat them, and not Raffaello. He was a he had showmanship. You know what I mean? It was like very professionally fun. So thanks for watching. Oh, we forgot about Della Robbia. Let's quickly find Della Robbia pieces. Okay, so here are some of the pieces. Now, a lot of these are remakes, but some of them are as old as the 1800s and the 1700s. And so, but these were made during the Renaissance era. And actually, there was a revival for it somewhere in the Victorian era and lasted all the way into the early 20th century. And you'll see a lot of these beautiful pieces of what we call like majolica or mayolica. Don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but you could see some of these gorgeous pieces. Now, here's one in a museum, the Museum of Fine Art. That one is a true Renaissance era one, but there are remakes that are antique still. And so it's fun to collect these. They're absolute beautiful, beautiful pieces of art. As you can see here, a lot of it has these beautiful blue colors going through it. Some of them almost look like cameos, almost like a cameo. And wow. So I hope you learned something. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you had fun to hear about our villain of the day, who was Raffaello Pernici. Actually on eBay, his user ID, and this was as early as like, oh my God, as late actually as 17 years ago. It was Raffit. My mom didn't call him Raffaello. She called him Raffit. RAF.IT, which is short like for Raffaello, Italy. And so I came up with a user ID to outbid him without him knowing it was me. And it was called Il Vincitore. Il Vincitore or Vincitore. And it means the victor. Yes, and so sometimes I would bid under that username so he didn't know who I was. And I don't know if I even pronounced that right, but they had Google Translate like 17, 18 years ago. And I typed in the winner and it translated to Il Vincitore or something like that. And I used that actually to foil Raffaello without him knowing it was us because sometimes it wasn't our turn. And yeah, I use that user ID Il Vincitore sometimes when it wasn't our turn because screw that. I wasn't going to let Raffaello beat us. And there we go. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something. If you did, write a 1 in the comments below or just tell me, drop me a line. Tell me, hey, I learned something. I'm going to be looking for Italian ceramics with the Z with the squiggly line in it. And you better pray to God that Raffit or Raffaello Pernici is now not bidding on it as well.